take 9 or is it take 10? Every time I start to do this video, a guy over there has a great big V8 rumbling away and you couldn't hear yourself think. Anyway, it's the 26th of May and it's a huge 8 degrees here in Canada. I wish we had some of that heat you have in Europe, especially in the UK, but it's freezing here. I think the government ought to do something about it, turn the heating on. Anyway, you can see behind me I've got some R380 gearboxes. Jim and I dug them out of the container the other day. These are gearboxes that I've already, rebuilt, new bearings and whatever it needed. The original intention was to do an exchange service. But the problem is, sometimes I've had gearboxes back that look like a grenade's gone off in them. And there's nothing really to salvage. There's very, very little. They're actually scrap. So what do? Do I keep the core charge? I don't know. So my idea was then just send me your old gearbox. You buy the parts, I'll fit them. Because you send me the gearbox, I'll strip it, tell you what your parts you need, you buy the parts, send them to me, and I'll fix it up for a moderate fee. Can't say fairer than that, can you? That gets me out of an exchange service. But today's video is about something a little bit different because it might be interesting as well. You can see here the extension housings on the back are aluminium. No big deal there. But we've noticed that you can put bigger bearings in the back, and indeed we've tried this before and it's been kind of successful. We know what the bearings are. They're not too expensive. But the problem is getting them machined out. Now JP's had one of my R380 extensions for about 2 months and he still hasn't got around to doing it. So even though I keep going down and friendly, so have you got my thing done yet? Because I really want to get things done. That's why I've got one on the bench waiting to go. That's what I'm stuck for. Anyway, we were just chitter-chattering and I said, hey, it's very quiet next door. Because next door is a big CNC shop. And he says, yeah, they've got no work, there's nothing coming in. And I says, do you think they could do them? And I says, yeah. They've got all the CNC machines, they can find out the centres of the holes, clock them in with the machine, it's all automatic. And he says, then they can machine them out. And I thought, well, why didn't I think of that before? So I went next door, asked them, nice couple of lads. And they says, yeah, we'll have them done this afternoon. How many do you want doing? I said, well, I've got 2 next door. And I says, I've got a possibility of getting some more. And there they are. I'm going to take every extension housing off those there. So that'll make me 6 extension housings with the bigger bearings. And I'm thinking about just doing every single gearbox with the bigger bearings in now as standard. Now I know that I can get them all machined out easily without sending them back to the UK to get done. And it makes sense really, because you sort of know that the bearings at the back, especially the lay shaft bearing, is a particularly weak spot, and that's what I intend to do. Just build them up with those bearings. And like I say, I found a place where I can get branded bearings. It just takes a couple of weeks to get here. Well, I'm not bothered, I'm in no bloody rush. So what I'm going to do today is set up this table here. This is my sandblast table, alright, and I don't use it all that much because I don't do much sandblasting. Cut holes in it so the shafts can go through, and then you see they've got some shelving here. Well, I just happen to have a few bits of shelving, so make a platform that goes all the way across there so that the front cover can be burnt into that shelf there, so the gearbox can go vertical with the extension housing vertical, so I can take them all off, do them all at the same time and get them machined at the same time. They said they could do like 6 or 8 in an afternoon, so it wouldn't take as long. And I'm sort of scratching my head and I thought, well, why didn't I get them to do that before? So that's what we're going to do. Now also at the same time I've been doing a little bit of an upgrade on my testing machine. So everything that goes out of here is tested. Let's go and have a look. So you can see here, we've done something radical, because like I say, I've been having a chat with JP. Talking costs nothing, but getting to do a job takes forever. But I've done away with the prop shaft. I used to have a prop shaft between the two, so it was kind of easy to swap between gearboxes and transfer boxes. But this seems to work out all right. Now, remember I said that I had a little bit of vibration noise? Well, I found out what it was. So that's why we've linked these two together. And now, they're beautiful and straight. And we've got this at 90 degrees to here. We've got this rubber mounted. The end of the gearbox is rubber mounted, so we should be vibration free. Yeah, I don't know why I never thought of it before. Now I've got this on, you know, like adjustable legs here, and the simple reason is that nothing's straight in this bloody shop. Everything's bent. But if it works, I want something that's universal for LT230s and R380s and LT77s, but so far this works. I bet you want to know how I did it, eh? Do you? Oh, go on, I'll tell you. So back in the day, when I used to put 300 TDI and 5 speeds into Disco 2s, we don't do them now because you never see a decent Disco 2 because they're all rusted out. But what we did was we needed to put a reluctor ring in the flywheel of the 300 TDI to put a sensor in the back, the crank positioning sensor, because the ECU needed not only a positioning sensor, but it needed a pulse to pulse the ECU, PWM, pulse wave modulation, which was generated by this reluctor ring here with a sensor in it. Easy. Took it down to another machine shop, they put it on a machine, drilled them all out. Now I think it's 62 or 63 holes, minus a bit that you can't see here. There's a slot. There's 3 joined together. All right. So after that, after we worked that out, easy peasy. And one of this place here, there's a hole just here. So what we did was we turned this to the bottom of the housing, so the hole was here, drilled through it, and that's where we could put our sensor. So the sensor, because this is on backwards, so when we put it the other way around, the sensor would find the centre of the hole, and then we didn't have to worry about anything. Nothing really fancy. It worked brilliantly. I think we did about 4 or 5 of them. But then, like I said, discos were getting hard to find, and then we had to import in engines and gearboxes. It wasn't really cost effective. All my sort of ideas, good ideas, but they're not very well thought out for the future. Anyway, so that's a flex plate off a V8. All right. So what we did was we knew that inside this aluminium housing here has already been machined out round. It works out, it's the same distance all the way around, if you see what I mean. It's concentric, that's the word I'm looking for. So it's concentric with the centre of here. That's good. And by a freak of good luck, that this ring fits into here, which it should do, because we needed to have this hole here line up with here. Well, seeing I don't do any, I said to JP, I said, here, what if we just bolted this into this housing permanently and put a bearing block on the other side and make a shaft for that? And that's what we did. Now, this is a self-aligning bearing on here. It's a fairly big boy, you can tell by the bolts. So what JP did, he machined out the bearing block. I think I've got a spare one underneath it. Oh, I'll go and get it in on them. So these are self-aligning bearings. And what he did was, there's a ring at the back of that flex plate, and he machined the outside of this to fit concentrically with that plate. All right, so that was easy, wasn't it? It's just a bit of working out. And here, for the spline, all we did was we destroyed a clutch plate, which isn't too difficult to find because they're always knackered. Cut the spline piece out of the middle, and then JP made a shaft so that the piece would go as an insert, and then I just welded it in here, and then he turned it round to make it look nice. And then we went and had a flange from an LT230, put that on the end and bolted it on, and everything was fine, and it works great now. So this bolt pattern here is the same for a LT77 or an R380. That works out nice. We haven't got a bell housing for a TD5. However, I'm thinking about just making now we know this is right, making some sort of a mounting for a TD5 to go on the front, because it's got a big long shaft, so we don't need this bit, but I'll do an alternative mounting. I don't know whether it's worth time, you know, to do all that. We'll see, when we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But today's job, should I accept it, and seeing it's quiet because it's dead as a bloody doornail at the moment, is to modify that table, get those boxes onto the table and get them stripped down and down to the machine shop this morning. It's now 8:15. I intend to do that before 10 o'clock. And then they can machine them. I can get the bearings pressed in when they come, ready to go. You know it's going to go wrong, don't you? So, it's nice when a plan comes together. There we have 4 gearboxes, all ready to take the housings off. A bit like Ashcroft's, isn't it? So now I can get all these 4 machined. This one's a bit of a dirty one, because this one, if you can remember, came off my Spanish 110. I drove it around for a while. I know it's a good one. That's off TD5. 300 TDI. All new selectors, new synchros, new shafts. So they've all got good shafts in. So all I've got to do now is find a bit of time to take them to pieces. But what I did was I put another shelf on here. Unfortunately, my bench isn't big enough to put an extra one on. I've got an extra one, but maybe if I put some wood. These are just like folded over. They're not very strong. So next time I might just put some battens in and strengthen them up a bit, because those gearboxes are heavy and it's dented it down. But it's worked perfectly, and I did some little notches sort of here to put the dowels in. So all I've got to do is take them to bits. But I don't know if it's going to be today, because I've got to take Deborah shopping and look for some parts for Jim. So we'll see. But anyway, that's basically a nice little bench for doing gearboxes on. Because this table can go outside, it doesn't matter about this one. And I can use it for sandblasting. All I have to do is unbolt that table and off it comes. Dual purpose. See you later.